Configuring in Sediment. Amazon DynamoDB as a database for AWS EC2 instances using AWS CLI. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass, LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. Introduction. Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service that offers fast and predictable performance with seamless scalability. Integrating DynamoDB with your AWS EC2 instances can significantly enhance your application's efficiency. This podcast will guide you through setting up Amazon DynamoDB as a database for your AWS EC2 instances using AWS CLI. We will cover the following topics. Verifying the AWS SDK installation. Using Python's Boto3 library as an example. Installing the AWS SDK if missing. Checking and installing the AWS CLI, configuring AWS CLI credentials and region. Accessing credentials from the IAM console. Specifying the default region. 1. Verifying the AWS SDK installation. Before using Amazon DynamoDB, ensure the AWS SDK is installed on your system. The AWS SDK for Python, Boto3, allows Python developers to interact with AWS services. Step-by-step guide. Open your terminal or command prompt. 2. Run the following command to check if Boto3 is installed. Pip show Boto3. 3. If Boto3 is installed, you will see information about the package. If it's not installed, proceed to the next section. 2. Using Python's Boto3 library as an example. Boto3 is the Amazon Web Services, AWS, SDK for Python, which allows Python developers to write software that uses Amazon services. Example code. Import Boto3. Create a DynamoDB resource. DynamoDB equals Boto3.resource DynamoDB. Create a table. Table equals DynamoDB.create_table. Table name equals example table. Key schema equals. Attribute name. Primary key. Key type. # partition key. Attribute definitions equals. Attribute name. Primary key. Attribute type. As primes. Provisioned throughput equals. Read capacity units, 5. Write capacity units, 5. Wait until the table exists. Table.meta.client.get_waiter table_exists. Wait table name equals example table. Print table status. Table.table_status. 3. Installing the AWS SDK if missing. If Boto3 is not installed, you can install it using pip. Step-by-step guide. Open your terminal or command prompt. 2. Run the following command to install Boto3. Pip install Boto3. 4. Checking and installing the AWS CLI. The AWS Command Line Interface, CLI, is a unified tool for managing your AWS services. Ensure it is installed on your system. Step-by-step guide. Open your terminal or command prompt. 2. Run the following command to check if AWS CLI is installed. AWS version. 3. If the AWS CLI is not installed, follow the installation instructions from the official AWS documentation. 5. Configuring AWS CLI credentials and region. After installing the AWS CLI, configure it with your AWS credentials and preferred region. Step-by-step guide. Open your terminal or command prompt. 2. Run the following command to start the configuration process. AWS configure. 3. Enter the requested information. AWS access key ID. Your access key ID. AWS secret access key. Your secret access key. Default region name. Your preferred AWS region, for example, ES West 2 default output format. Preferred output format, for example, JSON 6. Accessing credentials from the IAM console. To configure the AWS CLI, you need your AWS credentials. You can access these credentials from the IAM console. Step-by-step guide. Sign in to the AWS Management Console. Navigate to the IAM service. Select Users from the left-hand menu. Choose the user you want to use. Go to the Security Credentials tab. Under Access Keys, create a new access key or use an existing one. 7. Specifying the default region. Setting the default region ensures AWS CLI commands are executed in the desired area. Step-by-step guide. Open your terminal or command prompt. 2. Run the following command. AWS configure set region US West 2. 3. Replace US West 2 with your preferred region. Conclusion. Following these steps, you have set up Amazon DynamoDB as a database for your AWS EC2 instances using AWS CLI. This setup allows you to leverage DynamoDB's powerful features for your applications running on EC2 instances, ensuring scalability and performance. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website, and follow our social media links.